You do not need enemies when your own mouth works against you. Somewhere right now, a memory of your voice is being replayed by someone who does not wish you well. A sentence you spoke casually is being sharpened into a weapon. A secret you shared in trust has been filed away as leverage. A moment when you were tired or emotional is being studied as a blueprint for how to break you. You believe words vanish once spoken, that conversations dissolve into nothing. You assume time erases what you reveal. That belief is the quiet disaster behind countless ruined lives. Words do not disappear. They travel. They settle. They wait. Every fallen leader carries a sentence they wish they could swallow. Every destroyed alliance began with a mouth that moved too freely. Every broken bond can be traced to a moment when restraint failed. Long before recordings and screenshots, the ancient observers of power already knew this truth. Speech is never neutral. It either fortifies you or exposes you. Your mouth is not a harmless tool. It is a gate, and most people leave it open. The old masters watched empires rise and rot from the inside. They noticed that strength was not lost on battlefields alone, but in chambers, banquets, and quiet conversations. They understood that the man who could not govern his tongue could never govern his fate. Control of speech was control of direction. Loss of it was surrender. Those who spoke carelessly were not unlucky. They were predictable, and predictability is the raw material of domination. Consider anger. Rage feels honest, even heroic. It convinces you that you are finally telling the truth. But anger is a chemical shortcut that shuts down judgment. When fury takes the wheel, your mouth turns into an open archive. Old grudges surface. Private opinions spill out. Hidden fears announce themselves. The one who provoked you becomes an interrogator without asking a single question. While you feel righteous, they are listening. While you feel powerful, they are learning exactly how to control you again. The danger is not only what you say, but who hears it. A flash of temper becomes a permanent record. A heated confession becomes a reference point. Tomorrow, when your credibility matters, your past rage will be summoned as evidence. Power does not erupt. It regulates. Those who truly command allow anger to exist only in silence, processed away from witnesses. They refuse to let emotion draft their future. Success carries a similar poison. Victory intoxicates the mind and loosens the tongue. You want recognition. You want to explain how you won. You want credit for seeing what others missed. Each explanation feels justified. Each detail feels harmless. In reality, every word is instruction. You are not speaking to admirers. You are teaching future rivals how to dismantle you. Triumph narrated aloud becomes defeat rehearsed in advance. Those who endure do not narrate their ascent. They let confusion protect them. Mystery preserves advantage. The moment you feel compelled to explain your brilliance, you begin to give it away. Silence after success is not arrogance. It is insurance. Then there is intoxication, the social solvent. Alcohol does not create honesty. It removes barriers. It dissolves the walls that keep dangerous information contained. Under its influence, people confess strategy, fear, and desire, believing they are bonding. In truth, they are unloading assets. The one who stays clear remembers everything. The one who drinks forgets what they surrendered. Tomorrow arrives with consequences while memory remains blurred. Many revelations that ruin lives are not forced. They are poured. A relaxed evening becomes a data breach. A laugh becomes an admission. What takes years to observe can be extracted in hours when defenses fall. Clarity is not stiffness. It is survival. Pressure exposes another fault line. Stress convinces you that confession equals relief. You tell others you are overwhelmed, underqualified, unsure. You think you are being authentic. you are actually advertising weakness. In competitive environments, stress is read as fragility. Those listening may comfort you, but they also recalibrate how they treat you. Respect drains quietly when composure collapses. Pressure itself is neutral. It sharpens or shatters depending on restraint. Those who endure do not announce strain. They manage it privately and move forward without signaling instability. The world rarely forgives visible cracking. Sympathy is a subtler trap. Some people do not attack. They disclose. They present wounds just deep enough to invite yours. You feel drawn to help, to share, to equalize vulnerability. In doing so, you hand over intelligence. Real vulnerability is chaotic and uneven. Performed vulnerability is smooth and strategic. Learn the difference or become raw material for someone else's advance. Information circulates in every group like currency. Secrets are traded. Reputations are adjusted. Most people overspend. They gossip to belong, not realizing they are devaluing themselves. Every secret you pass proves you cannot hold one. The quiet observer gains influence not by speaking, but by remembering. Authority presents another snare. When challenged unfairly, you want to argue. You want justice. Power is unmoved by explanations. Tests are mistaken for conflicts. Those who talk fail them. Those who deliver results pass in silence. Revenge tempts disclosure. You know damaging truths. Exposing them feels like balance. It is annihilation of your own future. Once you reveal confidences, you are marked as unsafe. Silence preserves leverage. Exposure burns it. Insecurity fuels performance. You over-explain. You name names. You advertise competence you do not yet possess. This theater convinces no one. Substance never needs narration. The urge to prove is the proof of lack. Promises complete the trap. Under pressure, you pledge futures you cannot guarantee. Relief now becomes ruin later. Each broken word erodes trust. Those who last promise little and deliver more. Your mouth has not been neutral. It has been deciding outcomes while you believed it was expressing freedom. Mastery begins when speech becomes deliberate, rare, and exact. In a world where everything can be remembered, restraint is dominance. Part B. Silence is not emptiness. It is compression. It is power held in reserve while others leak theirs into the air. The disciplined mind learns early that every word spoken is irreversible. Once released, it no longer belongs to you. It belongs to whoever finds a use for it. This is why restraint is not weakness but foresight. The man who governs his speech governs the tempo of every interaction. He forces others to reveal themselves while remaining unreadable. Most people misunderstand communication. They believe speaking is how you assert existence. In reality, speaking is how you expose position. Each opinion signals alignment. Each confession signals leverage. Each joke signals boundary. The world listens not for your truth, but for your limits. And once those limits are mapped, they are tested. Observe how easily conversations become traps. A harmless discussion drifts into complaints. Complaints become disclosures. Disclosures become patterns. Patterns become predictions. You feel heard, maybe even understood, but what you have actually done is sketch the outline of your vulnerabilities for anyone patient enough to listen. The listener does not need to act immediately. Power is patient. It waits for the moment when your own words can be turned against you with maximum effect. Those who endure understand that not every thought deserves oxygen. They filter aggressively. They speak with intent, not impulse. When others rush to fill silence, they let it stretch. Discomfort reveals far more than dialogue ever could. People hate silence because it denies validation. In that denial, truth leaks out. Consider how often people sabotage themselves by trying to appear relatable. They share failures to seem human. They confess doubts to seem honest. They reveal plans to seem open. In doing so, they flatten their image. Authority dissolves when mystery disappears. Respect is built not on transparency, but on consistency and restraint. The quiet individual is always underestimated at first. This is intentional. Underestimation is camouflage. While others perform competence loudly, the silent observer accumulates understanding. They notice alliances, resentments, ambitions. They learn who talks too much and who listens too closely. They identify who trades in secrets and who hoards them. By the time they speak, the room has already adjusted around them. Speech under pressure is especially dangerous. Deadlines, expectations, and scrutiny create the illusion that explanation equals safety. It does not. Explaining invites judgment. Justifying invites debate. Defending invites attack. Those who survive scrutiny respond with action, not articulation. They let outcomes answer questions words cannot. There is a reason seasoned operators appear calm when accused, delayed, or doubted. They know that reaction cements perception. A frantic defense brands guilt even when none exists. Stillness unsettles accusers. It forces them to escalate or retreat, revealing their intent either way. Silence becomes a mirror reflecting their aggression back at them. The temptation to overshare intensifies in moments of connection. Laughter lowers guard. Familiarity invites confession. You feel safe. That feeling is not proof of safety. It is often the result of calculated comfort. Many people collect trust the way others collect currency. They invest it where it yields return. The return is information. True strength learns to give warmth without surrendering position. You can be kind without being porous. You can listen without disclosing. You can support without revealing. This balance separates those who are respected from those who are consumed. Watch how power responds to gossip. It rarely participates. It lets others destroy their own credibility. The one who speaks ill of another today proves they will do the same tomorrow. Observers note this quietly. Reputations form not from what is said about you, but from how you handle what is said around you. Authority tests reveal another layer. When confronted by those above you, instinct urges defense. Yet power structures do not reward explanation. They reward reliability. The one who absorbs criticism, corrects course, and delivers results rewrites the narrative without a single argument. The one who debates loses before the conversation ends. Revenge through exposure is the final illusion. It promises satisfaction but delivers isolation. Once you weaponize shared history, you teach the world you cannot be trusted with access. Future alliances die before forming. Silence, on the other hand, preserves optionality. Secrets held retain value. Secrets spent are gone forever. Insecurity creates noise. Confidence creates economy. The insecure speak to prove. The confident wait to be needed. Over-explaining is an admission of doubt. Name-dropping is a confession of dependency. Interrupting is a plea for relevance. Those who command do none of these things. Their presence answers questions before they are asked. Promises are verbal debt. Each one ties your future to circumstances you cannot fully control. Under pressure, promising feels like escape. In reality, it is a trap door. When delivery fails, trust collapses. Those who endure learn to promise little and exceed quietly. Their word becomes rare, therefore valuable. The discipline of speech is not about muteness. It is about precision. Knowing when to speak is as important as knowing when not to. Every sentence must earn its existence. Every disclosure must serve a future outcome. Every silence must protect position. The world is loud with people narrating themselves into weakness. They speak to feel alive, to feel seen, to feel safe. They do not realize that every unnecessary word is a brick removed from their own foundation. Strength is built by subtraction, not addition. When you master restraint, conversations change. Others speak more. They volunteer information. They reveal intent. They grow uneasy with your calm. They test you less because tests yield no data. You become difficult to map, hard to predict, and therefore expensive to challenge. This is the ancient advantage. Control of the mouth becomes control of trajectory. Words stop betraying you. Silence begins working on your behalf. And slowly, without announcement, the balance shifts. Power consolidates when patterns are hidden and reactions are delayed. The disciplined individual learns that immediacy is the enemy of leverage. Most people respond too quickly because they fear losing relevance. They mistake speed for strength. In reality, speed often reveals weakness. The faster someone answers, the less they have considered the cost. Delay creates space. Space creates options. Options create control. Every environment has invisible hierarchies shaped not by titles but by behavior. The one who speaks first after a disruption often yields ground. The one who rushes to clarify appears uncertain. The one who waits forces others to orbit around his stillness. This is not passivity, it is orchestration. Silence becomes gravity. Others adjust their tone, their posture, their language to match it. People expose themselves most clearly when they believe they are in control. Give them that illusion. Let them talk. Let them explain. Let them justify. In their need to be understood, they will reveal motives, fears, and inconsistencies. You gain insight without giving anything in return. Information asymmetry is the quiet engine of dominance. Consider how many conflicts escalate because one party cannot tolerate being misunderstood. They rush to correct perception. They overclarify intent. They argue nuance. In doing so, they hand the other side emotional leverage. Misunderstanding is not always a threat. Often it is protection. Let others misjudge you while you position yourself beyond their expectations. Those who survive long games understand the value of ambiguity. Being partially known keeps you flexible. When people think they have you figured out, they stop watching closely. That is when real movement happens. Certainty dulls vigilance. Ambiguity sharpens it. Social pressure thrives on disclosure. Group settings reward openness, laughter, and shared grievances. Refusing to participate can feel isolating at first, yet over time, restraint attracts respect. People sense boundaries even when they are never announced. Boundaries enforced quietly are stronger than those defended loudly. The most revealing moments occur when others seek your opinion. A careless response aligns you with factions you did not choose. A strong response creates enemies prematurely. Strategic neutrality keeps doors open. You are not required to take every side offered. Sometimes the most powerful move is to withhold judgment until outcomes are visible. Notice how often people destroy future leverage by venting frustration in the present. They trade long-term advantage for short-term relief. They feel lighter, but weaker. The one who absorbs discomfort without broadcasting it builds internal pressure that later converts into decisive action. This is emotional alchemy. Pain stored becomes strength when released deliberately. Authority figures test speech under stress. They provoke reactions to measure stability. Emotional responses signal unreliability. Controlled responses signal readiness. The one who remains composed under unfair critique is remembered, not for submission but for maturity. Power structures elevate those who can endure pressure without fracturing. Reputation is not built by what you say about yourself. It is built by what others say when you are absent. Silence shapes that conversation more than self-promotion ever could. When you are known for discretion, people attribute depth. When you are known for restraint, people assume confidence. When you are known for calm, people hesitate before provoking you. There is a difference between secrecy and privacy. Secrecy hides guilt. Privacy protects strategy. You owe no one access to your internal process. Share outcomes, not methods. Results, not struggles. Direction, not doubt. This is not deception. It is self-governance. Observe how often people lose power by explaining their morality. They justify decisions to appear good. In doing so, they invite moral debate. Debate invites judgment. Judgment erodes authority. Those who endure let actions define their values without commentary. Moral clarity expressed through consistency needs no defense. When confrontation is unavoidable, brevity becomes a weapon. Long explanations dilute force. Short statements define reality. A calm refusal carries more weight than an emotional argument. The fewer words used, the less surface area exposed for attack. Precision intimidates where verbosity invites challenge. The temptation to correct lies is another trap. Not every falsehood requires rebuttal. Some lies collapse under their own weight. Engaging prematurely legitimizes them. Strategic patience allows truth to surface without your fingerprints on the process. Those who rush to correct appear defensive. Those who wait appear confident. Silence also filters alliances. Those who remain respectful without constant access are allies. Those who demand disclosure are liabilities. Distance reveals intention. When you stop feeding information, opportunists drift away. What remains is smaller but stronger. In moments of success, restraint matters even more. Triumph invites exposure. People want the story, the process, the secret. Give them nothing they can replicate. Let them admire results without understanding the mechanics. Mystery sustains advantage. Transparency levels it. Words shape memory. What you say during crises is remembered longer than what you say during calm. One careless sentence under pressure can erase years of discipline. The composed individual treats every high-stress moment as a stage where silence preserves legacy. Over time, restraint becomes instinct. You stop feeling the urge to explain. You stop chasing understanding. You stop needing to be heard. This internal shift changes how others experience you. You are no longer reactive. You are deliberate. No longer accessible. You are selective. This is how power stabilizes, not through domination, but through self-control. The mouth stops being a liability and becomes a tool deployed only when it strengthens position. Silence ceases to feel like absence and begins to feel like command. Those who master this never announce it. They do not preach restraint. They practice it. And in doing so, they outlast louder men, survive sharper storms, and move through conflict untouched. The world keeps speaking. You keep choosing when to answer. And in that choice, destiny bends quietly in your favor. There comes a point when restraint is no longer effort but identity. Speech becomes intentional. Silence becomes instinct. You stop viewing words as expressions and start seeing them as instruments. Each sentence is weighed for consequence, not emotion. Each pause is chosen, not accidental. This is when your mouth stops sabotaging you and starts serving you. Most people never reach this stage because they confuse honesty with exposure. They believe authenticity requires disclosure. They think being real means being unfiltered. In reality, the most authentic form of power is alignment. What you say aligns with your objectives. What you withhold aligns with your protection. There is no contradiction. There is clarity. At this level, you understand that trust is not built through confession, but through consistency. People feel safe around those who are stable, not those who overshare. Predictable restraint builds credibility faster than emotional transparency ever could. You become someone others rely on, not someone others worry about. Notice how power shifts when you stop reacting. Provocations lose energy. Manipulations fail to land. Gossip circles collapse without fuel. Your presence changes the temperature of a room because you no longer add noise. You add weight. Others adjust unconsciously, moderating themselves in response to your control. You also learn that not every truth needs a voice. Some truths are better left unspoken because speaking them weakens position. Wisdom is knowing the difference. The disciplined mind does not confuse honesty with obligation. It chooses timing. It chooses context. It chooses silence when silence preserves leverage. Over time, people begin to project onto you. They assume depth where you show restraint. They assume strength where you show calm. They assume strategy where you show patience. This projection works in your favor. You no longer need to assert authority. It is granted before you ask. When conflict arises, you no longer seek resolution through words. You seek resolution through structure. Access changes. Availability shifts. Consequences appear without explanation. Behavior adjusts without confrontation. This is the highest form of control. It requires no speeches. It requires no threats. It requires only consistency. You stop warning. You stop promising. You stop negotiating your boundaries. Those who align remain. Those who don't remove themselves. This natural sorting protects your time, energy, and focus. Your circle becomes smaller, quieter, and infinitely stronger. At this stage, even your emotions change shape. Anger becomes information, not impulse. Fear becomes assessment, not paralysis. Excitement becomes fuel, not noise. You feel fully, but you speak selectively. Your internal life grows richer as your external life grows calmer. Reputation solidifies. People describe you with fewer words, but stronger ones. Reliable, composed, strategic, hard to read, impossible to rush. These qualities open doors that charisma alone never could. They create long-term influence rather than short-term attention. You also recognize the final paradox. The less you try to control others, the more control you gain. By mastering yourself, you remove the need to dominate externally. Others sense this autonomy and respond with deference. Power that does not beg is power that lasts. This is why the ancients valued restraint above brilliance. Intelligence without discipline leaks. Talent without silence attracts enemies. Ambition without control exposes weakness. But discipline combined with restraint becomes inevitability. Your mouth no longer seeks relief. It seeks advantage. Your silence no longer feels empty. It feels loaded. Every interaction becomes cleaner. Every decision becomes quieter. Every outcome becomes more predictable because fewer variables are introduced through careless speech. You are no longer explaining your past or defending your present. You are shaping your future. Words are deployed only when they move the board. Everything else is observation, patience, and timing. This is the end of verbal self-sabotage. Not because you stopped speaking, but because you learned when not to. The mouth that once betrayed you now protects you. The voice that once exposed you now enforces boundaries without sound. Those who talk endlessly will never understand how this works. They will mistake your silence for weakness until they realize too late that nothing they say moves you, and nothing you say can be used against you. You have stepped into the discipline that separates survivors from rulers. Not loud power, not performative dominance, but quiet control that compounds over time. From here forward, your words either build position or remain unspoken. There is no waste. There is no leakage. There is only intent. And in a world full of people who cannot control their tongues, the one who can becomes untouchable.